The big question coming into this weekend was, is Taysom Hill a real quarterback? Saints head coach Sean Payton clearly thinks he is. He started Hill in place of the injured Drew Brees. And, I'm not sure what the answer was going to be. I think we got our answer. Hill did some things pretty well and wisely chose to throw to Michael Thomas as often as he could. He did run a couple of times, had a couple of touchdowns. But I don't think the Saints care how they won. It's just that they did win. And we always think about the Saints as this high-octane offense, and it's not. This was when Drew Brees is at his peak. It's a high-octane offensive team. The truth is that team is long gone. They need help from a defensive line. You saw that yesterday against Atlanta. Did a nice job. The future of Hill at quarterback is still uncertain, but it might not matter. It's 1 week, and the Saints have to feel that Taysom Hill got off to a great start, holding down the fort until Drew Brees can get healthy and return to lead the Saints. Also, you're trying to figure out what you have with Taysom Hill. That was surprising, at least when I heard that from Sean Payton. He wanted to see what he has in Taysom Hill. I'm assuming you know what you have in Taysom Hill. At this point, you've had him in your system for quite some time. Maybe we, the public, don't know. I still don't know what they have. I think he had a really good game. He was dangerous. Atlanta was a little bit out of sorts, trying to figure out what was going on. He got confidence as he moved along there. Felt like the offense became a little bit more his. But I still don't know if he's a every week quarterback. I don't know if he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. But when Drew Brees comes back, then Taysom Hill go back to doing whatever Taysom Hill does. I didn't realize, how many ribs do you have? Because keep in mind, when we saw this sack on Drew Brees, and I went, okay, 2 broken ribs. First, it was a contusion. Then it became 2 broken ribs. Then all of a sudden, it's a collapsed lung. Then all of a sudden, it's a few more broken ribs. Then it's 11 broken ribs there. I think we have 24. So he had almost half his ribs broken on that play, which I don't believe is possible. But he's out for a little while with the 11 broken ribs. Yes, Seton.
Right, you have 12 pairs of ribs, making it 24 total.
Thank you.
Yes, you're
I
welcome.
appreciate that.
Oh, MD, you could add that to my
card. All right. Thank you. But watching Taysom Hill, I'm not rooting against Taysom Hill. Gosh, I go back to when he was at BYU. We had him on. Like, this was 2014 we saw something in him. I just don't know if he's consistent enough as a passer. And I'm just looking at the game plan, not Taysom Hill, because if you're going to bring him in, is he the right person to bring in instead of Jameis Winston? I thought Jameis Winston could play the role that Teddy Bridgewater did when Drew got hurt last year. Sean Payton probably wasn't comfortable with what he's seen with Jameis, or he said, I'm more comfortable in this style against this defense with Taysom Hill. Whatever his game plan is, Sean Payton's forgot more football than I know. Here is Sean Payton after the win.
I thought he played well. He had the 1 turnover late in the game in the 4-minute. We had a big touchdown pass called back, but look, it was a good team win. I thought we were fantastic defensively. I don't know what our rushing numbers were, but I think it's a really good run defense. And, we managed to take advantage of enough opportunities to win that game.
Yeah, they did what they needed to do. You're going against an Atlanta team, and I don't want people to say, well, it's Atlanta. Atlanta has played better. And in that series, you go back through the years, the decades, usually the team that's not supposed to win ends up winning that game. But they pick up the win. The Rams and Buccaneers coming up tonight. Joe Burrow's out for the season. I know that they said ACL. I would get the sense that it's a little more serious than just that. But that's only because having gone through too many knee surgeries and just kind of figuring out how he got hit, but at least a couple of doctors have responded with what they saw there, that it might be a little bit more serious than that with Joe Burrow. But he's done for the season. The Steelers are 10-0, and you start to survey what's going on in the NFL right now, and I think you might have a little better sense of just how good is somebody and how bad is somebody and how questionable some teams are. All of a sudden, the Ravens are vulnerable, and they're just not the same team. They lost Ronnie Stanley, and he's a great offensive lineman. Yanda retired, and it just feels like the Ravens can be bullied a little bit. And you saw that with the Titans going into that game. And Derrick Henry in overtime, the second time he scored a touchdown in overtime this season. But all of a sudden, you're looking at Baltimore. I remember some of the analysts, experts, talking heads looked at Baltimore and said they might go undefeated. They could be 15-1. I think they're going to be struggling just to make the playoffs here. And maybe they'll be a dangerous out when they get there. But you start to look at, okay, who is really good in the AFC right now? I know Kansas City is, but they're holding on for dear life to beat the Raiders. Titans had been struggling. I don't know. That defense is not as formidable as it was last year. Browns are okay. I mean, they're just okay. They haven't really beaten anybody the last couple of weeks. But there's no drama. I don't know how good the Bills are. They're inconsistent. Like you start to run down, then I got Pittsburgh. I'm sold on Pittsburgh. As long as Ben is healthy, sold on Pittsburgh. And then you got this game coming up on Thanksgiving with the Ravens. And suddenly that becomes a huge game for the Ravens. The Steelers are 4 games ahead of the Ravens. Who would have thought? In the NFC, Green Bay loses to the Colts in overtime. Saints are still there. I don't know what to expect out of the Buccaneers tonight. It's like Brady goes to bed, I think, when I go to bed. And that's a problem when you're playing in primetime. It's a big night for the Rams as well. And once again, they have another East Coast game, Eastern time zone, where they have to go cross-country again this year. Yeah, Paul.
Remember when we made fun of the Eagles for taking that tie? The Eagles are atop the NFC East at 3-6-1. Everyone else is 3-7.
Yeah.
Long game. They're playing the long game early.
Very long game.
They knew.
They want the season to go 20 games. Then they have a chance to maybe have some respectable numbers there with wins and losses. Back to Joe Burrow. Every time you draft a quarterback like this, I always say, how good's the offensive line? Because we saw this with Andrew Luck. And I remember, how many times, how many seasons, how many games did I say, if they don't protect him, he'll be out of the game by 30. And then all of a sudden they got a great offensive line. But the collateral damage had already happened. And I think Andrew Luck got to the point where he just said, I don't know what I'm going to be like when I'm 50, but I don't like what I feel like right now. And you got a great offensive line, he decided to retire. If you're going to expose Joe Burrow, and the Bengals exposed Joe Burrow this year to hits, it's not a question of if, but when. And that is a big, big concern for this team. Obviously, you want to have a great offensive line, but you can't invest $100 million in a quarterback like the Colts did, and then you spend 15 cents on an offensive line. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. The Bengals have to make sure that they have a good offensive line if they're going to expose Joe Burrow to the number of quarterback hits. Here's Zach Taylor, the Bengals head coach, on that topic.
It's hard for me because all we can do is make progress as the season goes, and we gave up a lot of pressure early in the season. In these last couple of weeks, our guys have done a great job of keeping people off Joe. He's had a great pocket. He did not have a sack in the first half, and the hit, as I saw it, wasn't when he had the ball in his hand. And so, people keep talking about the offensive line without it seemingly watching the film from the last 4 weeks. Again, those guys have done a good job. It's been a revolving door of players. They're doing a great job. Joe's done a good job moving us down the field, and we felt like we were making a lot of progress over the last 5 weeks, and we're not going to apologize for any of that.
Okay. Joe Burrow's in a hospital bed today, but no need to apologize. Burrow, 404 passing attempts this year. By comparison, most in the league. Matt Ryan, 388. Brady, 385. Ben, 380. Wentz, 377. You expose him to those hits. Maybe he doesn't get sacked, but he did get sacked. He was on pace, I think, for getting sacked over 50 times this year. Yes, McLevin.
Isn't this sort of a structural problem with the number 1 overall pick? Because you're going to have a bad offensive line no matter where you go. Because the team's terrible. Like next year, the Jags or the Jets.
Well, the Jets got a great tackle.
I know. I keep hearing about it.
Their offensive line is probably better than the Bengals. And the Jets aren't going to win a game this year.
Right.
But if you're taking Trevor Lawrence, you better have a good offensive line. I'm not saying great offensive line. I'm saying a good offensive line.
But it's like, what could go? But the Jets always find a way to screw it up. Something will go wrong.
I mean, Mahomes has been sacked 12 times. I don't know how many times he gets hit. But these bad teams, and you're always behind, and Joe Burrow's passing, and you're going to get hit. And it was a hit that the NFL is trying to get out of the league. It's one of those low hits, and it's unfortunate because Joe Burrow was probably your rookie of the year. Although I will say, I watched a lot of Justin Herbert yesterday. I never saw him throw like this at Oregon. He's athletic, but he is throwing dimes. That first half, I know it's the Jets, but I'm looking at ball placement here. And he was, at times, spectacular yesterday. He's been great. He really has. He's been a great quarterback. When you consider a rookie doing what he's doing, I didn't expect this. Tua got benched yesterday. I think some of it was based off performance, but he got sacked 6 times. It might have been one of those, for health reasons, let's sit him down and bring in Ryan Fitzpatrick. And you get, the lower hits. He got hit in the leg. The last one was an awkward hit. And if I'm, Brian Flores, I'm like, no, got to get him out of here. Yeah, Paulie.
Tua threw a pick, I think, in the second quarter, and he was really upset, so he ran hard to make the tackle.
No.
He flew in like a safety, like Ed Reed, and tried to make a tackle head first. I'm like, no, just do the kind of courtesy tackle. Someone's got to teach him that.
No, man.
Look like Troy Polamalu running in there.
Yeah, when I see that, I just want to grab him and say, no. You live to see another play. Your ego is fine. Let somebody else make the tackle, not you.